I'm Lester Holt.
Howdy, Holeheads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Cateline.
and we are here with another vault for you. We got another from the vault during the summer rerun season. Hey, remember last week when we were talking about how crazy the numbering was?
Yeah.
It was numbered 67. Have you looked at the listing for the newest season recently?
Yes, I have.
How f***ed up is it? It's like, it now has all the previous reruns listed as being season 33.
It makes no sense.
No, like the Alyssa episodes in there, the ghostwriter with the Family Feud lady and stuff, that guy, remember that one?
Uh-huh.
That's in this season now. What are they doing?
I don't know.
What's up?
I mean, it makes sense because it airs, and even though it's a rerun, people want to see it, and the cock is sometimes the only place they can, and they won't know to go back several seasons to find it. But they shouldn't include it in this season. There should be some other option where it just displays recently aired episodes that are separate from the season list.
Yeah, or unless that was a new decision they made, because Center of the Storm was last week's. Then there was one listed after that called After the Storm that I haven't watched. That's a rerun. I don't know if that's the one that they didn't air a few weeks ago. Remember there was a rerun they did and they didn't even put it on the cock? Remember that?
Yeah.
And so now I don't know if this was a new change. Now there's all these old ones on there. Like, where's that one then? I don't know.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. But luckily, I think we got a fun AC joint here. It was another shorty, and actually, when I was looking it up, it's not a condensed former fatty. It was, I guess, back in the day in 2017, they were doing 2 stories a night. And the first half was AC, and the second half was a J-Mank joint. How about that?
Interesting.
All right. I'm going to get the IMDb here, and then I'll get your thoughts. The House in the Woods. A former hockey player discovers his wife murdered in their home. His young daughter says she saw a robber, but the killer's true identity turns out to be far more complicated. That's a pretty decent description, don't you think? Being on the other side of it. For someone who hasn't seen the episode yet, I think that's pretty good. I think. So yeah, this aired March 24th, 2017. What'd you think of this app?
I liked this app, but the thing I liked most about it was that it was a shorty. Because they tied it up. There wasn't a lot of loose filler. It was short and sweet and to the point.
No. Now, I was suspicious. Well, save it till the trial. Maybe your opinion will come out. I was a little suspicious that Cateline might be coming in here going, there's not enough to convict or something. That's what I was worried about, Kate. What do you think? Look, she's giggling. You guys can't tell.
Well, they certainly brought that up in the app.
It doesn't feel like a slam dunk here, arresting this man.
It does not.
But I'm curious why you picked this one.
Well, I can't say because it's a shorty. You already stole that answer.
Just thought that typically when you pick something, it's because you've got either a personal connection or you're really fired up about something or you're angry.
Well, if I was going to get angry, I would have tabled it just because last week's I was so angry. I thought I'd give you a break. I don't want to come at you 2 weeks in a row.
Okay.
No, this has fascinating stuff that happens in it that is kind of wild, I thought. So that, I mean, I did pick it for a specific thing that happened that we'll get to. But, I mean, yeah, it's not like the best ever or whatever, but it was a nice and tight little shorty Dateline with a 2017 AC. I don't know.
Here's Andrea Canning.
All right, so our story begins September 29th, 2015. And I know this because it opened straight up with some body cam footage.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what happens here? It's just a quick little tease before they do the background and stuff. But it's at a house in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, literally, house in the woods, title boom.
Title boom.
The House in the Woods.
Well, yeah, they tease what's to come. We see body cam footage of a cop responding to a crime scene, and there's some audio of the moment he discovers the body, the moment he sees the body.
Yeah.
And we haven't quite heard a reaction like this before. Where
Yeah.
I think he was anticipating someone who needs medical attention, and what he found was someone who was very obviously murdered.
Very dead.
And he's like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Because he's greeted at the door by the neighbor, and he goes in there, and then we hear more details later. Look, this deputy. He was literally a deputy. They kept calling him deputy.
Deputy Dean Swan of the Steuben County Sheriff's Office.
I'd like to add another D word at the end of that, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a bit of a dingus. Not for anything specific he did, but for his... He did that cop talk that bugs the shit out of me, where he was really talking up his intuition and stuff. And I just want to be like, shut up.
Right.
Did you feel that or no?
A little. He was explaining a pretty typical murder scene, but he was acting like he was the one who was able to crack the case because of how observant he was.
Yeah. There's two specific times where he's like, I just knew. And AC was impressed by this. And he's like, I think it's just a cop's intuition.
Uh-huh.
I responded, to be honest with you, en route, I felt there's something wrong here. Just cop intuition, I guess, is what it was.
And right there, it's like, oh, sorry, dude, you are on the wrong side of K-Money for the rest of the app.
It's a cop's intuition that when you see a dead body covered in blood
Yeah.
and blood splatter all up the wall,
Yeah.
that they might have been murdered.
Yeah, like there are holes in the wall, BT dubs, right? Like well, I guess we'll get to it, but because now we got to go back. We got to do a little background. This takes place in the Finger Lakes, a place I've never been to, heard of it and stuff.
Now to take us out is a sister act from the Finger Lakes.
What do you know about the Finger Lakes? Have we been there before with the Dateline?
No, but I've been there.
Really? Time out. Mm-hmm. Or did they go somewhere? Where did Drunk Frosty go on his vacation to build his alibi last year? Did they go to the Finger Lakes or did they go somewhere else?
Wasn't that the Poconos?
Poconos. That's it. Also fun to say. Finger Lakes. Poconos. But excellent memes there.
He didn't do anything. I don't know what the you're talking about.
I mean, it looks pretty. Is it pretty?
It's pretty.
She was a hometown girl, raised right here in the Finger Lakes region of New York State.
The town that this was in was Elmira, and it is due south of something you will care about, Watkins Glen.
Oh, because of NASCAR?
Yes.
Sweet.
I also care because
Oh.
I used to hang out there.
At Watkins Glen, the track?
Yes.
No. Doing what?
When my dad was racing cars.
Have you told me this and I forgot?
I don't know.
I know your parents met at a Porsche club. Okay. Porsche!
Thank you.
Ooh, close. What do you mean racing cars? Give me a little more. I get it. Like, what kind of cars?
Porsches.
What? What are you talking about? For real?
Yeah. It was just track events,
Like,
just club racing.
So at Watkins Glen, the road course.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And Pocono.
Did you ever, really? The Tricky Triangle. Your dad drove the Tricky Triangle
He drove
in a Porsche.
most tracks along the eastern seaboard.
But what's the league called where it's a bunch of Porsches racing each other? Like,
It's Porsche Club of America.
wait, was your mama a pit lizard? Was she in the infield being like, I just want to date a driver?
No, Kurt. No, because when they met, she had her own car.
She was also racing.
I don't know that she raced. Maybe a little bit, but no, she was hanging out with me
Cool.
in the paddock.
Sweet. That's really cool. I can't believe you're just unleashing this. This all gets to stay in, huh? I mean, this is at least one, maybe two chapters in your book.
Yeah, leave it in.
This is the story of Tom and Kelley Clayton. Kelley grew up there and she was loving it, but then so Kelley grew up there and we hear from her best friend, and you had to be feeling, or possibly not feeling, what AC got up to in the beginning here, Kate. Did you like some of AC's
What did she get up to?
It was another classic, like, where she ties it into something maybe not related, because she said she's talking to Kelley's friend, and it's like, oh, she was really funny, and I wrote it down. It was said the land bred a little sweetness into Kelley, and maybe even a little tartness. After all, it was the home of Mark Twain.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Who f***ing knows? What?
Sweetness and tartness. Mark Twain's a writer.
Yes, yeah, he's like sarcastic, I guess, satire, or like barbs and stuff. I guess that's what she means.
Sweetness?
No, the tartness, I guess. But then we talked to her friend, and it was just that she loved to laugh and stuff. So I was waiting to hear, like, boy, she had a really, like, sarcastic wit about her or something. But it wasn't that. It was just like she loved life and stuff.
She enjoyed
laughing
when people had a sarcastic wit.
Okay.
She had a sense of humor about things, but she wasn't cracking jokes.
No, that whole setup, and then when it paid off with the Mark Twain of it all, I was like, ooh, AC, you're my girl, but I'm coming for you. Right?
She says it was as if the land had bred a sweetness into Kelley, maybe a little tartness too. After all, Mark Twain also lived here.
They said that the bright lights and starry whatever nonsense attracted her out west.
Yeah, but it was Vegas. It wasn't like she's going to Hollywood or whatever. She just wanted to live there?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. But she comes back because she goes to a local hockey game in New York with her mom, and her sister. This is a kind of a fun meet cute, huh? I feel like I've seen this in romantic comedies, legitimately. Do you remember how they met?
Well, he was known for being the guy on the team who would start fights and rough people up, which is kind of a red flag. But he was doing one of those moves and he got thrown into the side and his helmet came off. And all three of them were like, wow, he's hot. Who is that guy?
Yeah.
This player gets checked into the boards and his helmet comes off. And all three of us were like, wow, he's pretty cute.
So they called him the Enforcer, but there's movies about it called Goon. Aren't they called the Goons? Or no? The Goon on the team is the one for fighting?
I don't know anything about hockey.
Yeah, I only know this because it's a good movie with Sean William Scott in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
You've been touched by the fist of God.
But yeah, it was like just that he got like checked against the glass and his helmet fell off and they were like, ooh. I think it's kind of funny. I feel like I've seen that in a show or movie or something where like one of the people on there dates a hockey player for an episode. Right? But they hit it off. They get married 2 years later and have 2 little kids. Fast forward 10 years, happily married. As far as we know, he was a great dude. She loved him to pieces. Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Also, we must, of course, say that his nickname was Hockey Puck.
Clever.
I kind of like it. Hockey Puck. It's kind of funny.
He definitely looked like a hockey player.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I feel like...
They all kind of have that same face.
Yeah. I mean, he had decent teeth for a hockey player.
Well, he did, but one of the ones in the front was dead.
Oh, good eye. Good eye. Hockey Puck is like a Don Rickles insult or something, isn't it? It's like an old-timey insult. It might be specifically Don Rickles.
What are you looking at, you hockey puck?
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that his buddies on the team nicknamed him that. It sounded like some older friends of his who weren't hockey players called him that.
I mean, as far as I knew, it was Kelley's family.
They're old.
They affectionately called the former skater Hockey Puck.
And I forget her best friend's name, but she was being interviewed by AC. A lot of like post-tears talking. I was feeling for this girl. But she said that one time in late September of 2015, she called her up and Kelley just couldn't wait to get off the phone. She was like, good night, bye, okay, enough.
Yeah.
And her friend was like, oh, that's weird.
She thought it was strange because Kelley usually went to bed really late, like after midnight, and so did her kids. Mm-hmm. So this was odd because it was only like 9 p.m. and she was talking about being tired and going to sleep.
And then later that night, boom, we're back at the body cam footage. We followed Deputy Dingus inside on the cam. Mm-hmm. I had to double back and make sure it was the same night. Because because of the Mark Twain line, I was like, wait a minute, AC, is that an unrelated night that you're tying together? But it was the night of the murder.
Okay.
So she was like, all right, I'm tired, good night. All right, leave me alone. Pretty much.
First we meet the neighbor and he's like, my neighbor called me, he's inside, something with his wife. And we go in there and we hear Tom on the body cam being weepy and like worried and like, I can't sit down. But where did he just come from?
The cop kept telling him to have a seat. And he was like, I'm freaking out, man, freaking out. And he's like, I know, that's why I want you to sit down. Just breathe, you're not in trouble. And Tom even says, I sit down for a little bit and then I just get back up. It's like, great. Narrate your actions for us.
Yeah, and then he did something that made me chuckle. He asked for a glass of water.
Yeah.
Come on. Get that water. Yeah, we'll get you water. Take it easy, bud. Take it easy.
I think I was like, yeah, we'll get you one. Do you think you ever got that glass of water? I don't know.
No, he didn't.
The cops were busy.
But the cop asked him, where were you when this went down? And he said, I was playing poker with the boys.
Yeah. And he had just got home, and he said that when he came in, his young daughter, who was 7, there was like a 7 and a 3-year-old or something. Mm-hmm. Is that about right?
Yep.
And she had said that a man broke in and attacked mommy. But the kids are not there. They have been shuffled off to a neighbor's house. So right now it's just the neighbor, Tom, and Deputy Dingus in there.
Yeah.
This is so sad. Kelley's sister, I think is Kim. She's interviewed by AC, and she's like, I was wondering where she was, and you could hear me. I threw up on the side of the road. And she's like, you can hear me on the tape. And they play the tape, and it is heartbreaking, is it not?
Yeah. She shows up to the scene screaming, where is my sister? Where is my sister?
Yeah.
And she said that she was expecting to be led over to the ambulance where she'd see the paramedics working on her.
Yeah.
But instead, they had to tell her it's too late. And she just lost it and threw up and was not well, which is a perfectly normal reaction.
Yeah, so did she get to the ambulance and they had the sheet over the head, or was it like, we're not even going to let you go over there?
I don't even know that Kelley was ever put in the ambulance because she was dead.
Oh, you think she went straight to body bag?
Yeah, the coroner would have come.
Yeah, that's true. I like the shorthand in movies and TV shows where if you're like, somebody gets attacked or shot in one scene and then we're outside with the ambulance later, if they come out on the stretcher where you can see their face, they're going to live. But if the sheet's over, they're long gone. Sorry. Say goodbye. What do you think?
Does that happen often in Law and Order?
Law and Order? I mean, ton of stuff. Hey, next time you watch it, Kate, somebody comes out where you can see their face, they're going to live. All right? You heard it here first.
They won't die later?
Nope. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
You going to go watch stuff now? You going to...
We'll see. If I see something that doesn't really match that, I'm going to let you know.
Okay. All right. I can't wait. All right. So now we meet another cop. And this is wild because AC says, and then one of the most respected cops in the city or in the town had to go do the hardest interview of his life. And I was like, Deputy Dingus, are you frigging kidding me? But it's actually another cop.
An older,
right?
A more experienced cop.
So I love, like, where did AC hear that? This guy wasn't talking himself up like Dingus.
No.
Do you think Dingus watched this and was like, she talking about me? Oh, wait, him?
Maybe Dingus told her that this other guy was the real deal.
Oh, maybe.
But the hardest interview of his life was interviewing Tom and Kelley's 7-year-old daughter.
Yes. And this was the point where I said, this is the one we're doing, because this is, it unfolds in a way that you want it to, and rarely does in real life. So he sits her down.
Mm-hmm.
She's telling him about the robber, or the killer, or whatever. And he's like, you keep describing a man in a man's clothes. How do you know that? Like, how do you know it's a man? And she says, the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes like daddy. And I'm perked up. I'm going, wait a minute. Uh-oh.
What about his eyes let you know it's a man? She said his eyes are just like daddy's.
Yeah. And then he says, okay, how tall was this man? Was he taller than me or shorter than me?
Yeah. Oh.
And she says, the same height as Daddy.
Ooh, same height as Daddy. And he goes, okay, file that away. Was he thin or fat? Was he bigger than me? Was he a thin guy? And then she goes, well, he was the same as Daddy.
And then I said, how much did he weigh? Was he heavier than me? Was he thinner than me? He's the same as Daddy.
And you think we're done, right? Rule of threes. Nope, she's got one more for us. Because she goes, and the mask he had on is just like the one Daddy wears when he goes hunting. Oh,
yeah.
And she says, and the mask he had on is just like Daddy's mask that he wears hunting.
This is the good stuff. Were you cracking up at this point like, busted?
I was. I admired that the detective didn't say, was he taller or shorter than your daddy? He said me. He kept bringing it back to him so that he wouldn't plant something in her head.
Right.
But she was already thinking, no, we're talking about my daddy.
Yeah, Daddy.
You're not my daddy?
I'm all y'all's daddy.
Not my daddy.
You're not my daddy. Now I'm your daddy.
You ain't my daddy, boy.
Yes, I am.
We'll hear some stuff later that the cops were suspicious of him night of. But right now, he's got no blood on him, right? There's no signs of strug on his hands or anything.
He's got an alibi. They run it down and they find out, yeah, he was at poker with his friends.
For the most part, it looks pretty good for Tom.
Correct.
This alibi is pretty strong.
Absolutely. I mean, the witnesses that see him at the poker game, we know where he was all night.
Yeah, they go talk to them, and we talked to the two people at that house. AC talks to them. Like, yeah, he was there till midnight.
Yep.
Yeah. So they get that confirmation. And so now they're like, well, if Tom didn't do it, who did it? So they're asking around. And there's one name that keeps coming up. And the niece, there's a niece of Kelley's that had worked with Tom at his business in the past year or so. And this name is a name that keeps coming up. There's this one guy that they think, oh, well, it might have been this dude named Michael Beard. What's up with Beard?
Michael Beard was employed by Tom, and he was kind of a shady character, but a trustworthy enough employee for a while. And Kelley, whenever Michael was at the house, Kelley would be really nice to him and make him lunch every day. And she even gave him hand-me-downs for his kids. And it was generally pretty positive, except she did say that she didn't feel comfortable being alone in the house if he was there. And that right off the bat isn't really suspicious. It's like, yeah, if you don't want to be alone with some guy that works with your husband, I get it.
And they do live out in the boons. Like, they are out in the middle of nowhere.
And this is what I really liked. So the two friends who were at the poker night, they were my favorite of the ep.
They were pretty cool.
And the husband was like, yeah, you know, they were living out in the middle of nowhere, and I wouldn't want to do that. That's isolated. It's desolate. Scary stuff happens out there. And I was like, finally, somebody is saying that it's less scary in the city.
You're right.
Because that is what I've
good.
always thought. I don't understand why people in the country think the city is so scary. It's the opposite.
Yeah. You guys are the ones that live out there where you can scream and nobody's going to hear you.
Exactly.
We could never live out in the woods like that. I mean, that's what she said. I mean, just being out in the woods is scary enough sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. I did like them, and they did some pretty cool stuff in this app.
They started thinking like detectives.
Before we get that scoop, we also hear from the niece who says that Tom had warned her, stay away from Michael Beard at work. Just don't be around him and stuff. So he's looking good for it. So they go talk to him, and they make a point of saying how chill he was. And he was like, no. Because what would happen, he had been fired for drinking and stealing. And so that's why the family was like, maybe he wanted revenge. But Michael says, no, I'm not mad at Tom. He's actually helped me find more work. He's helped me find another job, and it was his partner that fired me. Right? And so they're going, okay, well, maybe it isn't Tom. But they asked for his DNA and his phone. He gives it up right away. I was like, go for it. They've got Tom down at the station, and this was interesting. We kind of saw this recently with a quick turnaround and arrest, but they arrest his ass at that moment. And it's all based on the story from the daughter, correct?
Yes.
And like they don't have anything else on him.
No, they don't have any DNA, well, they wouldn't because it's his house. DNA would be everywhere. But
yeah.
There's no murder weapon. There's no blood anywhere. He's got an alibi. All they have is the daughter saying, he looked like daddy.
Yeah. 4 times. I mean, right now, I'm going, good, we got him. Lock him up. Let's do it. And so the cops arrest him, and they need some evidence in case, you're not going to build a case on the word of a 7-year-old. So luckily, these two that Kate loves, they did their own little detective work. And what had happened about an hour before poker night ended, Tom came up to her
and said, I left my phone in my car. Can I just borrow your phone real fast? And she said, sure. She took it off the charger, handed it to him, and she heard him go into the next room and talk on the phone to somebody. Just some muffled
and she hears
mumbling,
talking.
but she hears talking.
Yeah.
And he's not on the phone long. It's only like a minute. And he comes back and gives her the phone and says, thank you.
And he followed me into the bedroom, and I unplugged it, and I handed it to him, and he said, thanks.
And she doesn't think anything of it until after this murder, and she goes back and looks in her phone to see who he called, and he's deleted the call record.
Yeah, I mean, he says that he didn't call anybody, and she looks at the phone, and there is no number. But like we said, she heard him talking. And I like that she even asked her husband, what's up? I don't see any calls on here. So they get into textpert territory.
Yes.
They log on to their AT&T account. Click. They look up their data usage, and what do you know? There's a number there that was dialed twice. So Tom's lying about something. Okay, and this was 2015 when this went down. Now, remember the McCalls? We were loving that they plugged a number into the Cash App and stuff.
Yes.
I got to give this cop a little cred, because what does he do with this phone number?
He puts that phone number into Facebook.
Boom.
And up comes Michael Beard's profile.
Got him. And now that is really smart, because Facebook's based on your phone number. It's that's so tied to how you get an account, is it not? I feel, for a lot of stuff.
Maybe. When I got it, I was in college, and it was tied to my student email.
Right. Well, that's because you're so friggin' old and stuff.
I'm ancient.
But I feel like even if you don't show it on your profile or whatever, I feel like giving them a phone number is a part of creating an account. And so I think it's smart to plug in, and because criminals won't think that far ahead, and you know that they're all on Facebook too. I just think it's a smart move. What do you think?
Yeah, it is.
So what I did was I got the number and put it into actually Facebook on my phone.
Yeah. So it's freaking Michael Beard. And so now they're going, okay, what's up here? But this is weird. And this is the second level to why I was fascinated by this. What's that?
Well, the second part of that is that the husband was like, well, that's weird that he had to borrow your phone and said it was left in his car because everybody at poker night said he had his phone on him the whole time, sitting out in his hand while he played poker.
Yeah.
So it wasn't in the car.
But wait, Kate, that's hearsay. That's just people saying that he had it. Was there any proof? Or
There was proof because someone took a photo of him that night sitting at the poker table, cell phone in hand.
And there it is, and we see it, and he's smiling at the camera. Got my little phone here. This was it. This was the stuff I love, where it's like, you idiot. You thought you were so slick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. So good. The fact that somebody took a picture. Oh, that is great. I forgot that, Kate. Good call. So they go back to Michael Beard, and they're like, yo, Tom's phone called you twice. And this is where Michael Beard turned it on with some crazy lies that I was like, what the is he talking about? Because he goes, no, I never called him. No, that wasn't me. And they're like, oh, can we see your phone again? And he goes, oh, you know what? Bummer news. I had to recycle my numbers, or I had to recite, what do you say? My call time?
My data.
Oh, I had to recycle my data last night. What's that mean, Techspert Kate? What does recycle my data mean? And what does it mean with deleting what calls you?
Well, I think
I'm curious.
It's something that people do when they are when they're using like a cheap cell phone carrier and they have rollover minutes and they're paying by the minute rather than just unlimited or just a set number of data for the month. And then you have to reset it so that you start your count over again. But that doesn't mean everything in your phone gets deleted. So that's a lie.
No, and he said recycle data, Kate. He did not say reset data. He said I had to recycle my data. So that's why I'm like, what?
He is a stupid person.
Oh, recycle his minutes. That's what he said. Minutes.
Yeah.
It's hard because we don't think about it in terms for cell phones anymore. Minutes. But that used to be a big thing, right? Like how many minutes do you have and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just didn't understand the concept. And AC was like, are you guys thinking it's bullshit? And they're like, no. Like they're still trying to play cool about it. But I mean, I don't know. Right now I'm going, uh-oh.
He explained that away by saying that he, the night before, had to recycle his minutes on his phone. It was a little bit suspicious to me.
So this is the crazy part. We hear the interview with the daughter, and I'm going, oh, he's done. You can't come back from this, dude. You cannot come back from this. Your daughter was too positive and stuff. And then we find out his dad had an alibi. He was not there. And the guy who did it was Michael Beard, who now is looking like was hired by Tom Clayton to kill his wife. And so it's like, it's funny because it's like proof that the daughter didn't know what she saw and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I still think it stands. It's like, well, no, he did do it still. He did do it. He just wasn't the one to physically do it. So like whatever made the daughter say this, I'm like, right on. You see what I'm saying?
It's definitely something that I would usually say was not enough reasonable doubt.
Oh, right now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so they bring Michael Beard back downtown. They talk to him. And this is when he's being tough of saying, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And then the interrogation is interrupted for a minute. And it's because they were talking to Michael Beard's wife out there. And she had told them, it's weird. Michael was saying something about how Tom was going to pay him $10,000 soon. And so the detective goes back in the room and says, was that what the 10 grand was for, to kill Kelley? And Michael Beard says, yep.
Immediately.
He just straight up admits it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and so they're both arrested at this point. Now, they're both arrested and their trials are separate, but they also get cooking pretty quick. And
meanwhile,
of course, after the fact,
Kelley's niece, the one who worked with Tom, she tells investigators that weirdly Tom had confided in her about the state of his marriage. She claims that Tom told her that he had been cheating on Kelley, that he was done with their marriage. He just wanted out. He was so over it. And it's not like he said, I'll do anything to get out of it. I'm going to kill her. But she just realized that their marriage was not the happy one that they portrayed.
No. And, and this is the same woman who was like, he said, don't go near Michael Beard. Mm-hmm. So like we've seen this before too, where a guy is like buddies with one of his employers that he helps out. And it's like, well, how long has he been planning this?
Yeah.
Right? I feel like when he befriended Michael Beard is when this idea came into fruition. What do you think?
It's possible. All because he didn't want to get a divorce. Because if he got a divorce, then Kelley would get the house and the kids and alimony, and it would just be better if she were dead and he could get everything.
Yeah, and like, she probably wouldn't want the house. I mean, they might have to split what they get from selling it, but she's not going to live there alone. So if he really wanted that house, I mean, he might have, right?
It's worth a conversation.
Yeah, before going to murder, you're right. Mm-hmm. Hey, Cal, I'm just going to throw this. If we got divorced, would you want the house or not? I'm just asking. Just asking.
This is why prenups are important.
Yeah. Oh, Absolutely. So this is when we first meet Tom's lawyer. I hate this guy. I hate his shoulders. I hate his eyes. I hate his face. What do you think?
I didn't pay him any mind, but I'll support your hatred of him.
Thank you. There's something about the confidence the defense attorneys spew that bothers me.
Sure, but to be fair.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kate. Let's be fair. We want to be fair.
The prosecution, it was not an airtight case.
You're right. It was.
So I'm sure the defense attorney's feeling pretty good.
Yeah. But here are the things he has to work with is the whole phone situation at poker night, and also the fact that they go back in Tom's records and him and Michael Beard had been talking a lot.
Yeah.
Specifically because Tom was going to buy Michael a bicycle. Remember that.
Clayton was contacting Beard saying, hey, we have to meet. Hey, he was getting him a bicycle.
He's going to buy him a bike. But yeah, you're right. The lawyer, especially because they can't talk about. Okay, well, first there's Michael Beard's trial. He's found guilty and gets life. Now it's time for Tom's trial. And he's useless as a witness. One, they can't use his confession because he took it back. And two, they can't put him on the stand because he already in his own trial went back and forth on lies. So he's
not a believable witness.
So they can't even try that. And so without that, there's not a whole lot to go on here. But Kelley's family, they go to the bail hearing for Tom and they know right away that he did it because he won't make eye contact and he's all emotionless. And I'd say good on you. Because that would be a consistent thing, I think. You know, we always talk about how people grieve differently. If you were wrongly convicted of murdering your wife, the first time I laid eye contact with her family members, I'd be going, I didn't do it. Wouldn't you?
Totally. I was thinking the same thing. I'd be crying and shaking and looking at them saying, help, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah. It is such a tell that he wouldn't even look at him. Dummy.
He had a bulletproof vest on, shackles, no emotion. He doesn't look. He doesn't cry.
And they were pissed because his bail was not very high. It was like $250,000 and he was out that day and that was it.
Who says that's not high? AC literally said that's not a lot. Since fucking when?
They're usually for murder, they're usually like $1 million.
Okay. Well, if it's $250,000, he only has to pay $25,000, right? It's 10% of it?
I don't know how it works.
I'm pretty sure
I should probably know that, considering I co-host a true crime podcast.
It's okay.
He gets out on $250,000 cash bail.
That's pretty low.
Now, this was interesting. For a shorty that already has some good stuff in it, late in the game, we're seeing security footage that I think is pretty damning. Now, Car Kate, I get Car Kate in here for this, because we see a red truck leaving Tom's work and then Tom following that truck. And then later at night, the red truck supposedly comes back and then what leaves is a bicycle. Now what does the prosecution lay out happened that night?
Well, first of all, I can't tell what anything is. This is very low resolution.
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing whose truck is whose and who's leaving where and when. You can't make out anything. So I don't think any of this footage is actually damning. I think it helps to build the story of what they think happened that night, but it looks like ass.
The nighttime footage. The daytime, it's good enough daytime.
The daytime footage, you can see that there is a red blob, and then there's another truck behind it. You can't see the make and model. You can't tell who's driving it. Anybody could be in that red truck.
But it was people leaving Tom's work, so all they had to do was look at who owned these cars. Michael Beard owned a red truck. Tom owned a silver white truck.
Okay.
Look, I'm with you. The nighttime stuff, blobs, absolutely. I just would not call the daytime stuff blobs, but...
They believed this was video proof of a conspiracy. That's Beard, they say, in a red truck that Tom loaned him just hours before the murder.
It's the nighttime stuff, I guess, is what really ties it all together. And yeah, I don't know how they would... You could maybe call it a bicycle because of the lights, the way they were spinning, right? Like, could you tell that blob was a bicycle or?
Yeah, you can tell that one of the blobs is a bike, but not the second shot of it where you can't even see it at all. And they're like, in here, you see it drive away. And I'm like, where? I don't even see it in the screen. But the first shot of it, yeah, you can see the spokes kind of going by.
Yeah, the truck leaving, you can't tell it's a truck. We don't see the bike go in. I think the bike was in his truck.
We see the bike come out.
That's it, though. We see the bike one time.
Right. But then they cut to a wider shot to show it going even further, and you can't see anything at all.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of pushback on there. I want to know if they did like some sort of forensic files math where they lined up pictures and it was like the distance between the headlights matched the distance. But you know what I mean? Like, nobody fought back on that. Mm-hmm. Right? Or
Well, it didn't seem like it.
yeah.
I did.
But they're both found guilty and they both get friggin' life.
Tom Clayton and Michael Beard were both sentenced to life in prison.
I mean, were you... So tell me now. I was watching this. I was thinking, good. This guy clearly did it. And it was just karma that his daughter thought he did it because she secretly somehow knew that he was behind it. But if I'm all trying to be all level-headed Kateline over here, they were sent to prison for life with not a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. So typically I would say there was not enough to convict. And I think maybe if I was on the jury, I might have voted that way as well. But for some reason,
yeah, because you did.
I can't even explain it really. For some reason, I just know he did this.
Yeah.
I just know it.
Right?
And maybe it's his dead tooth. I don't know.
I was suspicious off the top when, if I hear a really high-pitched, whiny guy on a 911, instant suspicion for me. And so when that played, I was like, here we go. I don't know if that syncs. I feel, maybe I'm just thinking of, what's his name? John Peake from earlier this year. There's just something about hearing super emotional dudes talk about their wife, and it's like...
Well, because it sounds fake.
Yeah.
When they go up a couple octaves, it's like they're mimicking what someone in distress would sound like, but they're not actually feeling it.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I mean, that's it. Quick, shorty. I think it's time for those lists. What do you got?
Kate's unnamed list. Well, I guess we've got a red truck and a bike.
Yeah. I mean, those play a part. I'd say count them.
Then that's it for my list.
Speaking of, it's so funny that I brought up the Family Feud thing earlier, because that was the last time we saw a bicycle used in a getaway.
Yes.
Was that idiot husband driving away? Remember?
Yeah, that was with...
Riding away.
That was with Taylor and Taylor.
Absolutely it was. It was. Wait, that was last season, I think. Was that last season? I think so. But anyway.
It's all a blur.
But I remember that one well, because the Taylor and Taylor, it was a Murph dog. You know it was a dog app, because there was fun stuff up there with that. Yes, they're both named Taylor.
Yep, they're both named Taylor.
All right, is that all you got?
That's all I got.
On to Kurt's Kick-Ass List.
Kick-Ass List.
I got 2 items. They're both AC related, and one of them happens right away. AC says, signs of a struggle.
Yep.
Loved it.
Inside, the deputy could see signs of a struggle. Blood on the floor.
Loved it. There was one I started that I might finish tonight. There was one I started to see if we should do it for the vault, and Lester says piece of the puzzle in the friggin' cold open. So I was like, episode's going to have to be terrible to not pick it, but it was an hour and a half, so I was like, damn it. But isn't that funny that he friggin' said it in the cold open?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay, on to my second item, and that's, give me a chance here, Kate. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. Almost did it.
Not quite.
Syllable. Why can't I say syllable is the real word. Syllable. I literally, please say it, Kate. Please say the word.
Emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Syllable.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, AC says tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision?
Yeah. It really snuck up on me, too. I was watching it again today, taking notes. I was like, oh, what was that? What was that? One more time, AC. Tunnel vision?
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
He said they had tunnel vision when it came to his client.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of a pretty solid shorty. You got anything else to add there, Kate?
That's it.
Be sure to check out our YouTube at I'm Lester Holt. We got a Patreon called ILH, like the aisle of a video store, where we talk about 2 non-Dateline things a month. And we just did another FF episode. An excellent one, I might add, that dropped today. But anyway, on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
I'm Lester Holt. For all of us, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.
No, Kurt.